Remember the 90s? No smartphones, no internet, just floppy disks, pixelated games, and kids would waste too much time on their hands. Back then, betrayal didn't happen online. It happened face-to-face. When a kid in my class scammed me out of all my precious PC games, I didn't just get mad. I got creative. What started as a harmless prank turned into one of the most chaotic pieces of teenage revenge you'll ever hear. If you've ever dreamed of teaching someone a lesson they'd never forget, hit that like button right now. Subscribe and stay tuned, because this story proves karma doesn't need Wi-Fi to hit hard. I was around 15, living in a small European town in the mid-90s, the golden age of floppy disks and Windows 95 startup sounds. Gaming was my world. I wasn't a cool kid at school, but I was the kid who had games, real box PC games with manuals and floppy disks that smelled like new plastic. Back then, getting a new game wasn't easy. You couldn't just download something. You either bought it by mail from another country, which cost a fortune, or you traded with friends. My best friend and I had a system. We'd split the cost, share the copy protection codes, and take turns playing. It was our teenage version of teamwork. Then came him. A new kid joined our class. Let's call him Martin. He strutted into the room like he owned the place, always with that cocky grin that said he'd seen more of the world than the rest of us. His claim to fame? His uncle had hundreds of PC games. To 15-year-old me, that was like saying his uncle owned treasure. Naturally, we offered a trade, fair and square. We'd lend him the Settlers, Monkey Island, Doom 2, and he'd lend us something from his mysterious collection. He agreed, smiling that too confident smile. A week later, we got the discs back, except they didn't work. Every single one was corrupted. Floppy disks that wouldn't even boot. And the ones he returned? Scratched, bent, missing the original protection codes we'd spent hours preserving. At first, we thought it was an accident. Floppies were fragile. So we gave him another chance. Then another, and another. After 3 months of this nonsense, it hit us. We hadn't gotten a single working game from him, while he'd built his collection with all ours. He'd played us like idiots. We were furious, not just because of the games, but because he laughed about it. He'd make jokes in class. Guess you guys should learn how to copy properly. His smugness made my blood boil. But the final straw? He started mocking me for being a Queen fan. I was obsessed with Freddie Mercury, his music, his energy, everything. But Martin would sneer, "Why do you listen to that gay guy? You must be weird too." That cut deep. Even as a kid, I knew what he was doing. Using someone's identity as an insult. And in the 90s, in a conservative town, that kind of accusation stuck. That's when the idea hit. A few weeks later, our school attended an AIDS awareness event organized by a local foundation. They handed out pamphlets, flyers, and even free condoms printed with the foundation's logo. I remember watching Martin during the event, rolling his eyes, whispering jokes about gross people. That's when my friend nudged me and whispered, "Wouldn't it be hilarious if his parents thought he was, gay?" It wasn't about sexuality. It was about poetic justice, making him feel the sting of judgment he threw so freely at others. So we started plotting. My friend had one of the few inkjet printers in town, a bulky beige box that sounded like a tractor when it printed. We decided to use it for evil or justice, depending on your perspective. We scanned the AIDS Foundation logo from one of the flyers and began typing. Every click of the keyboard made me grin a little wider. The letter read, "Dear Martin, thank you for your letter. We understand it's difficult being open about being homosexual, and you have many questions after the event you attended with your class. Please find enclosed some information and condoms to help you stay safe." We printed it on crisp white paper, folded it perfectly, and slipped it into an envelope. We even included all the flyers and condoms we collected from the event to make it look authentic. But here's where it got really devious. We addressed it to Mr. and Mrs. Martin's last name. His parents would open it first. The morning we mailed it, my hands were shaking. It wasn't fear, it was adrenaline. Teenager-style justice in motion. We didn't hear anything for a few days. Then, one afternoon, Martin showed up at school, pale as a ghost, eyes red. not his usual smug self. Rumors spread fast. Apparently, his parents had found the letter, opened it, and lost their minds. His mother had cried for hours. His father had gone ballistic, convinced their son was secretly gay. They'd screamed at him, grounded him, and even made him pray for forgiveness. He stopped coming to school for a week. When he returned, he was quieter, but not before giving me and my friend a few suspicious looks. We acted innocent, of course, but curiosity got the better of us. We asked around, pretended to sympathize. "How are things at home, Martin?" He scowled. "Don't want to talk about it." It worked. The revenge had landed perfectly. The boy who mocked Freddie Mercury, who stole our games, who thought he was untouchable, had been completely undone by his own bigotry. Of course, teenagers can't keep secrets forever. A few months later, after his punishment had long ended, he cornered us during lunch. "You did it, didn't you?" he asked, his voice low. We froze. He looked deadly serious. But instead of denying it, we smiled, that kind of subtle grin that says you'll never prove it. He didn't have to. He knew. Eventually, we admitted it, half laughing, half proud. He didn't take it well. There was shouting. Then teachers got involved. Then the principal. Before we knew it, we were sitting in the principal's office with Martin, his furious parents, and our very confused homeroom teacher. Explaining our reasoning was awkward, to say the least. He, stole our games and made fun of Freddie Mercury didn't sound like a strong moral argument. We got detention. Parents were called. Lectures were given about ethics and bullying. But behind every stern word, we could tell. Even the adults were trying not to laugh. Looking back, I know it was childish, a little cruel, and definitely not something I'd recommend anyone do now. But for two frustrated teenagers in the 90s, it felt like poetic justice. We never got our games back, but we got something better: closure. Martin stopped mocking people after that. He kept to himself. And while we were no angels, part of me thinks he learned a lesson that day about kindness, respect, and maybe karma too. Even now, 30 years later, it's the one revenge story that still makes me laugh when I think about it. There's a unique joy in poetic justice. We didn't need to fight him, scream at him, or ruin his life permanently. All it took was his own prejudice, reflected right back at him. When his family's perfect image crumbled and he tasted the humiliation he loved to give others, that was the win. Quiet, elegant, and unforgettable. Sometimes, revenge doesn't need fire or fury, just a mirror. People eventually face the ugliness they project onto others. Ours came in the form of a fake letter, a printer, and two angry teens with too much imagination. If this story gave you chills or made you laugh, hit that like button right now. Tell us in the comments, what's the best revenge prank you ever seen? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories where karma shows up with perfect timing.